Okay, I'm not going to go over my entire history again, but my name is Philip Ferrer. I am a PMN director, been with PMN for 11 years as a full-time employee, and also helped and supported them as a contractor. So what I wanted to do is move this out of the way. Hello, there you go. Is I wanted to start with this. Where are we at? Here we go. I wanted to start with this slide. If I've got a couple of you during the earlier class a little concerned, I hope I did, because this is not going to be an easy class. This is university level. We're going to be throwing an enormous amount of information, and you folks are not going to be able to remember it unless you have an eidetic memory. Now, in my career in teaching project management, I've only had 2 people in my lifetime that had eidetic memories. For those of you who don't know what that is, you say it, you look at a piece of paper, or you read a document, and it is in their memory for life, which is an awesome conversation to have with them. I even had, well, there were 2 ladies that fell under this category, and they could remember every word I said throughout the training cycle, and they would quote me and give me the exact timestamp and the exact words. So if you don't have that type of memory, then folks, it's not going to be easy for you to learn this stuff. But here's what I want you to remember, just as I spoke earlier in our previous class. You have to put yourself in a mind frame of learning a different language. Okay. Now I'm looking at some of the names, and some of your names I recognize, maybe ran into you 1 or 2 times, and I see a lot of experience on this call. All right, and that's going to be to some an Achilles heel. Why? As I stated before, and I will state again, you're not taking an advanced exam. You are taking an exam on the fundamentals of project management. Those fundamentals are going to be on the exam. On top of that, you are not one single question is going to be an AT&T question. Going back to you more experienced folks out there, when you don't know the answer to a question, you're going to start wanting to lean on your experience. So let me help you with that so there's absolute clarity here. I failed the exam the first time. I was a global PM, and I was going here and there and everywhere and studying at the same time because the job that I had with Motorola stated that I had to be PMP certified. Taking care of all my projects, I was doing both, and I had a mentor who taught project management, PMP certified, and all that. And when I didn't pass the first time, I went back to Bob and asked him, what did I do wrong? And after punching me in my arm, he stated, did I not warn you repeatedly for these however many months, I think it was 4 months, 4 or 5 months, not to rely on your experience? Well, needless to say, I did, and I had to basically undo in my brain and had to separate the PMI data from my experience that I had. So please keep that in mind, folks. You have to separate this in your mind from the fundamentals and try to separate that from your advanced knowledge and experiences here. Otherwise, it is going to be a major problem. I also emphasize the fact that, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about attendance and stuff like that, but I'm more concerned with your commitment. You've made a commitment to 10 hours a week. If you maintain that commitment, you are going to pass the exam. We have a very high pass rate at 90, last time I remember it was approximately 92%. So we know what we're talking about. Many of us that are teaching, we just love to do this, right? Are we mentors? Okay, you could call us mentors. Well, we are, because you will have mentors also and coaches assigned to you. But we just love to do this, right? We always have. And so in this, what we have found is that folks that work hard at maintaining that 10-hour work week ethic, which means you are adding, well, you're adding your work. And if you're like most of us, you're probably getting more work added to you, of course. You've got family, friends, probably involved in some type of community events, stuff, volunteer, stuff like that. So it's not going to be easy. Hopefully, everyone that's been on this call has talked to their friends, their spouses, and said, hey, just so you know, I'm going to need some time. You may choose waking up early in the morning, which is good, and some of you may choose evening, which is, it's up to you to create your own schedule. But please try to commit to that 10-hour work week. It will pay off. I can never emphasize enough the value that this, when you become PMPs, the value that that's going to bring to your career, okay? And it is quite essential that you focus and try to work toward that PMP and obtain that PMP certification. Anyone that is like me, that likes monitoring business channels all the time, Fox Business, MSNBC, Wall Street Journal, you will automatically know, and some of you probably knew in advance, that this PMP certification is becoming more important again ever since, or I should say, starting since 2016. There was an immediate rise in this finding people with experience that were PMPs. Why? Well, for one PMP, you could automatically remove 10% of the work or those that would have been normally assigned to your project, because most large organizations, they spend a lot of money on their PMPs. And I want to talk in a minute about what your definition of a project manager is. But they spend an enormous amount of money on PMPs, because PMPs not only helps reduce your workforce because you have one person and only one person in charge, but you also have this, by having a PMP, studies have been showing since, I don't know, let's see, I started looking at them since the 80s. Oh man, am I old? Into the 90s, that PMPs, what was that, 8 out of 10 times will ensure a 25% reduction on overhead costs, right? So this is the value of a PMP. However, one of the things that I want us to think about that's going to be most important for your exam to pass it is your concept, your definition of what a project manager is, okay? There are many definitions of what a project manager is. And I will say 99 out of 100 times that I hear people talk about what a project manager is, they are simply wrong, period. There's no question about it. However, before I get into that and why that's important for the exam, well, let me tell you now. For the exam, and I would recommend you maybe take a couple notes here. When you take the exam, you're taking an exam as a global project manager. That's important. That's your perspective. When you take that exam, consider that exam an actual interview. Why? Because it still occurs today, but it used to be big in the 80s and 90s, that project managers were, and let me specify AT&T, because I know a little bit about AT&T. I learned a lot about AT&T in high school. AT&T always, their project managers, their global project managers, they would interview. And you know the process. You get interviewed by these managers, these engineers, these, and the list goes on up to the VP level. And then the list keeps getting smaller and smaller. You get more interviews. And then at the end, that final person is chosen. When they are chosen, they get assigned to that project, to that country, la-di-da, and all that. Okay, so before I get too much in or more as to why this is important for the exam, I want to ask a question, and I want us to be honest about this. There is a wrong answer and there is a right answer. Okay, I'm not going to play any games with you folks. I'm going to just speak to you directly. Our instructors are going to do so. We're not going to fluff anything. We just want you to pass the exam, so we have to be direct. But before we go any further, I want to ask the question: what is your complete definition of what a project manager is? So I'm going to ask for some participation here. Just identify yourself by your first name and just give me a short definition of what you think a project manager is. Anyone? Let me have a volunteer, please.
Hi, Phil. This is Kim Wagner.
Yes.
So the project manager would be the person who's ultimately responsible for the project. They can assign out like resources and kind of plan out or spend parts of the budget if there's a budget for the project.
Okay. So you did cover resources, you covered budget, and you are partly correct, but you are partly incorrect as well. So hold that thought and I'll explain. Could I have someone else further that definition or give me their definition of what a project manager? Anyone, please?
Well, this is Vanessa Manning. To add to what Kim said, I would say the person that oversees the project from beginning to end. So as the resources may be assigned, they have to oversee the time. They're helping with the planning, making sure that the project goes on time with the scheduling.
Okay.
This is Shelley, and I'd like to add communicating all of that information to stakeholders, both involved and not involved.
Ooh, excellent.
Yeah,
Anyone else?
This is Jennifer Kasich. I would like to add also keeping deadlines and setting deadlines and keeping the projects to remain on schedule, tracking deliverables and providing updates to all relevant stakeholders, ensure the project is sticking to the agreed upon budget, managing all the moving parts in relation to the milestones, including schedules, documentation, staffing, and sometimes HR.
Okay, so far, everyone is partially correct and partially incorrect. Next, do we have someone that will want to help further that definition?
Hey, Philip, this is Jamel. I think the only thing I agree with everything everybody else said. And I think the only thing I'd like to add is that the project manager has to bring their own knowledge of what they're doing to the actual project to carry out all those things that everybody else said.
Wow, that's an excellent point. Anyone else want to add? Because so far, everyone is partially correct and partially incorrect. And I'm hoping I'm getting you to think, and I'll explain in detail why that's important for the exam. Anyone else?
Hello, Philip. This is Jessica. And one of the items that stood out to me was in the book was that, you know, the project manager, well, my role in AT&T today is not quite so large, but so for an overall project manager, you're responsible for the overall success of the project. So you're responsible for most of it, but you also have to depend on other people. I'm more of an, you know, I control freak, so I tend to take over for people, and I know that's bad, but you have to trust that other people are going to, you know, fulfill their roles. But yeah, I see it as just you're responsible for the overall success of the project. So if you need to herd cats, if you need to help somebody with their budgeting or their time management, it's on you to do
Okay.
that. But you don't have to be a master of all of it, because nobody can be. Otherwise, you'd be doing the project all by yourself.
If you're an android, you could master all the knowledge. Absolutely. The only, again, those two, and they're two awesome ladies that I met. They were from India, and they actually, to take this class, they had to wake up at 2 in their time just to attend this class. And boy, it was just great always talking with them. They were just, wow, awesome folks. But let me go to this specifically and state why everybody was partially right and mostly wrong, okay? Something that you had said, and let me start with that, not to pick on you, but you made a statement, responsible for most. And then you went on and then started listing much more than just most, okay? So I'm going to have to say that responsible for most was not correct. Let me tell you what you are responsible for, and don't be offended the way I go about this. You are responsible for everything. Let me repeat that. You are responsible for everything. Why am I emphasizing that? I'm emphasizing that because most of you are thinking on the exam. For the exam, oh, it's going to have these definitions about project management, like Philip stated in the earlier class. I'll have that memorized. Nobody ever fails that. If they apply themselves, I'll learn all the formulas, la-di-da, and go from there. Oh, no, don't turn off on me. Okay? But as I emphasized before, it's the situational questions that always gets folks, right? But why am I emphasizing this? Because the true definition, okay? I don't care what anyone on planet Earth says. I don't care their station in life, because personally, this is just me, I'm a little offended that people who claim to have knowledge seem to lack knowledge. And I speak to people that have degrees. I have a degree. I have an MBA in international project management, and I was very wrong for the longest time in my life as well. When I say everything, yes, meaning if when I was given a project, the first thing that happened was my name was put on a charter. That document that says basically, Philip is large and in charge. Anything that can go wrong, that will go wrong, see Philip, period. So part of my training was focused on, I was assigned a human resource manager as part of my training. I was assigned CPAs. That's part of that is your responsibility. I had to manage stakeholders. Something we might have forgotten is you are also totally responsible for the shareholder. Well, wait a minute. What does the shareholder have to do? Well, lo and behold, the shareholder will come visit you at your project, whether you like it or not. They have the money. They can do pretty much what they want. We talked, someone else mentioned knowledge. Absolutely. Many companies today include all this training. They include the fact that time in which you will learn to be a negotiator. Well, why would we be doing that? Well, you're going to be doing that because part of the training also tells us that is your signature on the contracts. Let me repeat that. It will be your signature on the contracts. When I mean large and in charge and for the exam, you have to eliminate whatever feeble definitions that you had. And you basically have to retrain your mind for the exam, because a project manager, a global project manager, if you want to add that word, is one that is knowledgeable in all these areas that we're about to go through to prepare you for the exam. And we're only teaching you the fundamentals, right? So yes, many companies, they have training on an annual basis in which you have to leave your home of residence, and they send you off to some college school so you could learn contracts. You could learn all these different things. Why? Well, from PMI's perspective, these fundamentals are not an assumption, but you need these fundamentals when you are sent over across that big pond. For example, when I was given a project, I always knew what was coming down the pike because my director would smile at me. Dave doesn't smile at anybody, but when he smiles at you, well, you're heading overseas. And all of a sudden, he would say nice, those nice platitudes and all that. And then he'd reach behind and he'd give me the ticket, the airline ticket. So I was going to India or Africa or somewhere in Latin America or Asia. That's how I knew. But in that ticket, he also had a document that was that clearly stated as a charter that Philip is in charge of this. Okay, so in that, all those years that I have been training and all of that information, and I have still a ton of notes today that I share with some of my global PMs that are now friends of mine. This is what you have to know for the exam. We're going to cover every area, every facet. If you have just the knowledge base of what PMI provides us in training, you have the sufficiency to go out and manage alone small projects at least to begin with. And that's usually how large companies do it anyway. So when you go through all this detail that we're going to throw, and it's going to be a lot of information your way, and I know if you're like me, you probably write 10,000 notes and still have a headache. We're doing it for a reason. We're doing it for a reason because the true definition of a project manager is all encompassing. We have a start and everything between, well, sometimes even before the start, if you're lucky. From the start to the end, you are responsible for everything. And the last thing that you would be responsible for is sign off, which is the most difficult task on the planet to get sign off on your project. So if it's a $50, $75 million project, you get sign off, you get that final amount of money, and people seem to disappear, at least in my experience. So when you go through this, why did I take all this time to do this? Hopefully, I'm clarifying in your mind the value of the exam that we're going to have, because it's going to cover all these areas. Every last one of them. We're going to go into excruciating detail in some areas, and as I stated before, and you're all familiar with this, if that instructor is repeating certain items, you probably want to memorize that information. The definitions, as I'll state one last time, you should have by now 4x4 cards, or some of you might have gone out and purchased the cards. And start going through with a friend, with a spouse on that. Go look at the names on here. Cue one another. Call one another just to say hello. Are you surviving? Is your brain matter? Has it all poured out of your brain yet? And just talk and lift one another up in this, and you will do fine. This will be exhausting. So that becomes very important, and I wanted to emphasize that because this commitment that you made is not going to be an easy commitment. All right, let me move to, did I have it up? Here we go. Oh, go to the top. So this is the kickoff, and hopefully I will have given you the correct expectation, okay? You may want to start investing in aspirin. Most people do. I know I did, and all my students that when they went and took the exam and came out, we would laugh about how much aspirin they did actually invest in, because like I said, you have your day job, you will have all this training, you've made your commitment to this that you will never, ever regret after you become PMP. You have family. We all have a lot of things going on, don't we? So let's talk about expectations Why? I've just given you all the expectation you need. So go ahead and glance over this. You will, again, and I want to bring attention to the first bullet statement, which I am going to protest when we have a meeting. Students have the prerequisite PM experience. Yeah, I'm sure many of you have project management experience, but you probably only have a small piece of the pie. And that's not what we're talking about here. Just so everyone knows, if you're an engineer, customer service, it doesn't matter what your skill set is. This PMP certification will have an enormous and positive and long-term impact if you know how to use this certification as you proceed in your career. So, but for the exam, that PM experience, as I've stated, and I continue, if you notice, to emphasize, because it's most important, your experience may be a problem. So try to separate this information. We've spoken about the PMI Application Handbook. It's the only handbook that I've ever read in my entire life that I think is an excellent handbook. It communicates extremely well, very fundamental. I had to read it 3 times because I thought something was wrong because it read extremely well. Since then, I've never read any material that is easy, but that's just my opinion. Hopefully everybody will have taken my recommendation and have already gone through that. And your best counselor for that, if there's some ambiguity still, contact the PMI customer service. Those folks are really good. I've been working with them for decades, since the 90s. Though they do have a few new folks there, yeah, they are very good at their knowledge base to help you out. Students, well, you've already paid for your PMI bundle. I'm sure you have your materials. If you have any issues with your PMI bundle, make sure you contact Brian Berry. He is our director of the education team, extraordinary human being, awesome individual, to say the minimum about him. He will always bend over backwards to help anyone out where he can, and he's just great. You'll, of course, remember we've had this discussion in the past. Students, please be sure that you attend all your activities. We do know that life happens. Of course life happens, and you may be missing a class or two. Please work hard to not go beyond 3 classes, missing those 3. If it happens, don't worry about it. You may be able to listen in, and we'll move you into the next class, but you will have already purchased your PMI bundle. But sometimes we just cannot stop life from happening. So, you know, don't let that negatively impact you mentally. Continue to study until the next class as well. We talked about the students, 10 hours per week, 35 contract hours for attending all 20. And let me state something that is just to continue my directness. There's no reason that anyone on here should not be able to make at least 17 of these 20 sessions. Now, why do I say that? Well, I'm going to use as a standard the folks in India. Throughout all these years that I've been teaching these classes, there's been many folks from India that had to wake up at 2 in the morning to attend this class. And there may be some on here right now. And the majority of them have made all 20 classes. I mean, think about that. That is extraordinary, is it not? That shows not only absolute professionalism, but it shows their hunger in advancing their careers. So there's really no excuse for those of us on this side of the planet to not be able to make at least 17 of these sessions. And let me move on. So again, nothing new here. Again, you're glancing faster than I could read. Notify us if any training needs, la-di-da. Okay, so anything dealing with that, that bundle from PMI, make sure if you run into an issue, you can call the customer service or contact Brian. Always remember that Brian, myself, all these really awesome project managers or PMP certified PMs that we have that are also engineers and cover the whole gambit, they have jobs, right? They also have lives. So you may not get an immediate answer from them. So please be patient with the team. All right, PMN material. There you are. Okay, this is showing down the countdown calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to open to our home page, the education page, right? I'm not going to go into all this detail. It would be a waste of your time, but I'm sure everyone took my advice from the previous class and have looked at this page. You probably and hopefully did go through some of the FAQs. The team works really hard to update these FAQs, and we continue to work on those. If you have a recommendation, give us your recommendation. We don't like hearing people complain. If you're going to complain, please don't send us an email or at all. But if you have a complaint and a recommendation, please do so, because you're going to help us. And more than that, you're going to help all the students that come behind you into the future, and it will help them as well. The sign-in, well, everyone already knows that. Official roster, just by clicking here. Just as a reminder, we unfortunately are using SharePoint. Those of you who know software, once upon a time, SharePoint was the standard. And oh my Lord, it is a big pain and thorn in the backside. And we're trying to get away from it, which means SharePoint will sometimes register, even though you are registered for that class, it's going to come back and eliminate the fact that you did attend that class. Why? Well, it's SharePoint. That's all I can say about that. And I know if we do have some software gurus that are helping with that, but yeah, they're struggling with it because SharePoint does get its own mind once in a while, and it changes things for us. Check your roster, wait till the following week. So you've been in class for Monday and Wednesday, wait till next week for the classes to show up. And if they don't, well, hit the roster update request. I will get an immediate email. I will approve it because you are now already on our list because we already know who's in the class, and we will make sure that gets updated. And folks, please take the time to learn a little bit about our instructors. I'm telling you, we got some really awesome folks that are teaching. They are just, wow, great folks. I sit in some of their classes as well because, well, I borrow stuff permanently and call it my own. I've really got some great instructors. So, and they're due a pat on the back because we do this, again, just as one of those, we like to do it. But in doing this, we're hoping that we're helping everyone toward that certification. And voila, once you become part of the family, I may hear from you later because you will never be disappointed. All right, let me go back here. All right, let's move on. Let's try to move on. Let's, come on, work with me here. All right. So everyone, is there anyone on this call that has not received their PMI portal bundle? Just say yes if you have not. Good. All right. Excellent.
Yes. Sorry, I was on mute there.
Oh, okay. Did you make contact with Brian Berry yet about that?
Not yet. I was giving it some time, and I'll probably reach out to him this week.
Okay, yep, your time is up. So please try to contact him tomorrow because we also have the class on Wednesday, right? And the sooner you could get this, the better. All right, thank you. So, yes, there's going to be a lot of slides that you're going to get, again, a lot of information, but we're going to highlight certain areas that are going to be of value to you for the exam.
Philip, this is Ken Kiernan. Is there a specific email that we should be looking for the bundle? Because I don't know that I have it either.
Ooh, you know what? Yes, you should have gotten an email from, let's see. Okay, so you become a PMI member, you get the PMBOK for free. Yes, you should have gotten, if you haven't received anything yet, what I recommend is call customer service. Did you already pay for the bundle?
Yeah, I'm already a PMI member.
Oh, yes.
So,
call the customer service up and ask them where, just ask them to send you a fresh copy. I do know because of us, we're always working with PMI on a lot of different other things, that sometimes they'll send an email and that data won't come through. So yes, contact them and make sure you get that. Absolutely. You should have gotten that.
Thank you.
All right, overview. All right, PMBOK. The PMBOK is the most boring book that has ever been written by man, period. Hopefully you folks took our recommendation and invested, and I'll use the word correctly, invested in the Andy Crow or the Mulcahy book. Why? Well, number one, they do a great job of explaining from an exam perspective the situational questions. That's the key to both of those books. You don't need both, you just need one, right? My recommendation, as I've stated before, is Mulcahy, but some of you have already talked to me about, and you got the Andy Crow book. They're both excellent books, right? But they at least don't allow you to fall asleep necessarily, where the PMBOK, well, I'm telling you, if you can read the PMBOK through without falling asleep, I'll give you $100. I don't think you'll make it past the first chapter, but let's see how you do. It's just so boring. It's just hard because it's all data and it gives you very little examples, right? It's like bullet points. However, those the Andy Crow, the Mulcahy books, they are excellent. They give you examples. More than that, they explain why. And especially important for the situational questions, because the situational questions, as you've heard me emphasize several times, are the key to you passing the exam. Again, PMI says we've been monitoring this, and since I've been monitoring it since the 90s as well, and can confirm it, that folks are never going to miss this exam. They're never going to pass because they missed definition questions or the formulas, which you have to memorize, and just so that's not going to be the key. It's always the situational questions. Thus, Andy and Mulcahy books, they just do such a great job. And even after you become PMP, you still going to need those books. I still use my books to this date, and I keep an eye on them because my daughter is also a project manager, and she likes my Mulcahy book, which I have to keep an eye on often. And I've got 10,000 notes like most of you will probably have as well. All right, so the PMBOK. And everyone...
I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a 6th edition, but it's updated for the March of 2018 exam, and I don't know that that's correct.
Don't worry about it, because the bundle will have any missing material that you see on there that we will be emphasizing.
I'm actually talking about the Andy Crow book.
Oh, and what year is? What was the year again?
It's the 6th edition, which is what we were told, I think, to get, but it says it's updated for March of 2018. And my worry is that there was updated content this last go around, like with.
And you are correct. Yes, you are correct. There is updated information, and that's what that bundle is going to fill in, those dark areas.
Okay. Okay, I still use this Andy Crow book as well?
Yes,
Plus that bundle.
absolutely.
Okay.
But let me give everyone here.
Just for me touching them. I was going to say my Andy Crow book had a card in the back with a key, and you got additional information by going to that site, putting that key in. It had the updated info.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely correct. And the Mulcahy book has the same thing in the back. Thank you for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So in this, let's see, the PMBOK, yeah, you're going to need those books only because, oh my Lord, I still have nightmares from reading the PMBOK. I still have some PMBOKs that go way back, and I just keep them. So I may need them in the future, you know, for firewood. I don't know. Maybe the apocalypse, and then I'll need to use them for firewood, so I keep them. And they also have all my notes. Okay, moving on. So, I'm sorry, another question?
Yeah, Philip, this is Steve Gordon.
Yeah.
So just so I'm completely clear, because I gave PMBOK a shot, and you're absolutely right. It's a little bit dry. So as we're studying and reading throughout the class, should we just focus on the Crow and Mulcahy books, or are we going to be reading both simultaneously? Or maybe
Boy,
we'll get to that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is a loaded question because everyone studies different. So
okay.
I'm going to open this after I give you at least my version. I'm going to open it up to see what others think in this. But here's what I did. Yep, most dry material on planet Earth. I actually copied the illustrations, and I would put them up in my office. I would put them up on the wall. And I would glance up at the wall at times and you know, study that material. But I just studied the illustrations because the rest of the book was extremely boring. That's how I did it. You will have many illustrations even in your bundle, and you may want to take those illustrations and do the same or put together a binder where you can write certain notes on those, but that was my approach. Let me open the floor up to others. Let's get some input from others as to how you've already had the chance to look at the PMBOK and you have your bundle. What are some methods, other methods that may be of value in your studying all this material? Anyone?
The PMBOK is, my name's Tina Nelson. The PMBOK is very dry. I think the first 3 chapters are 69 pages, and it was torture. But some of the other things that I've utilized so far is not only like this study guide, the PowerPoint material, but on the PMI site, you can download the notes section that also has the information from the PowerPoint, so it can help you with your definitions or, you know, creating your cards and help you to study from that, or at least that's kind of what I've been doing in addition to the Andy Crow books.
Wow, excellent. And I want to interject something here before I forget, because I always start in the beginning with this, somewhere in the beginning. For those of you that have other material, please eliminate that material from your study right now. Don't use Skillsoft material. Don't use material from others that teach this PMBOK as well. If it's valuable to you, lock it up, keep it away from you. If you intermix our methodology, our teaching methodology, and how we approach this with that other material that you have, I guarantee you, you're going to fail the exam. Why do I say that with such accuracy? Only because in the years that I've been teaching this PMBOK stuff, we have had many students that thought, hey, maybe if I learn and I had all these different materials, I could cover everything and gain more knowledge and do really well for the exam, only to find out that, no, it doesn't work that way. So eliminate your any other material that you have minus the exam. So if you have Skillsoft material, don't read that material. I've had too many people that failed the exam and came back to our course and passed the exam thereafter. But put all that to the side, but keep the exams. The exams are valuable. And I want you to monitor yourself. So if you go on right now and you Google a practice exam, you'll find there's some exams that are broke down by the chapters, the domains. Record that. If the exam has 50 questions, well, take it. How many did you get right? Maintain that record, because as you progress, you will see certain chapters that you're going to improve on, and other chapters that you're just going to be weak in. And that will help you do a little better of focusing, especially when you're halfway through. Your mind is going to be tired, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get exhausted mentally, and everything else that'll be happening in your life. So always maintain a performance record of how you do for the exams. And I'm going to throw this in there as just extra. I would strongly recommend that if you have an opportunity, do it maybe this weekend for sure, or next weekend, go online and take a 200-question PMI practice exam. I think I've seen some of them that are 17 bucks. Just do it. If you can, every student that I recommended that actually followed that advice, when they actually went to take the actual exam, they just laughed at it. They passed and they laughed at it. And the reason is, if you set your mind now to the fact that you're going to have 200 questions, it'll help you in the long term. I can't explain the logic behind that, because humans are not logical all the time. But many of my students that have done that, they passed the exam, and they actually thought it was good advice. They didn't think initially it was good advice. They thought about it afterwards, but you know, that's a hard thing. So that's a little extra there. So please keep in mind the key item here is performance. Keep those numbers always as to what you're doing. Remember, the definitions are always the fundamentals of project management. No advanced material that will be provided there. We will cover 2 to 3 topics per class, right? But we will frame it in such a way that you'll be able to digest it a little better, absorb it mentally a little better. Are we expecting you to read the material in advance? Well, okay, I think everybody already knows that, but it was put on there probably for a good reason. Don't let arrogance, because you're an experienced project manager, don't let it overwhelm you, because it's, as PMI says, it's the experienced project managers that fail the first time. 72% of experienced project managers fail the exam. 72%. And it's not because they're inexperienced, it's because the exam had nothing to do with their experience, just the fundamentals. Of course, there is an Agile guide that we will cover. There's the Agile Manifesto, and I've taught the Agile classes, and we've never had a student fail our Agile classes, so we must be doing a good job there. And what I would recommend for the Agile portion of this, just become familiar with it, because if you continue as the definitions, which is the Agile Manifesto, and of course the 12, 4 scenarios and the 12, you think I'd remember, but I'm old. But by going over those continuously, like all the other definitions, it'll start sinking into your brain, and you will do just fine. So don't let the Agile, it's not an advanced Agile class. It's just, it will touch on certain subjects. And let's see, just to be sure. My Agile book is missing. Okay, I'm going to have to go see someone about that. All right, so
I have one. You want to borrow it? Just kidding.
Say again?
I just said I had one. You want to borrow it?
No, I just need to go back to my daughter's house and grab it from her. Because she's heavily into software and she's got all my global notes in there, so those are precious to me. All right, so yeah, once you go through, again, we'll go through Agile, we'll go through the fundamentals and that. You will do fine when it comes to Agile. But remember, Agile is a portion, but don't let that throw you. It will not be a difficult part of the exam. What else we got on here? La-di-da. If you do not have a mentor yet, make sure you send Brian an email asking for that mentor. These mentors are really, I mean, I sound like I'm pumping things up, but that's not, anyone that has worked with me for years know that, you know, I don't have time for fluff in my life, and I just don't like fluff anyway. But we really have some very good mentors there. They will help you. They'll keep you on the straight and narrow on this knowledge area, and they'll keep you motivated. They'll keep you going, because again, it happens all the time. Midway through, most of you are going to become highly exhausted, and you're just going to be down and out. They will notice that, and they will help you to get over that hump. It happens to every last one. So this is where the mentors become very valuable, along with, they have a lot of good ideas that I have permanently borrowed, and hopefully they borrowed some from me. They just do a very, very excellent job. Very impressive folks, to say the least. I think I went too, okay, let me try this again. Let me just use this. Okay, did I cover? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay, also, I want to highlight, I'm sure everyone remembers that if you look at your invite, well, Brian put all the information on your invite as well, all the URLs to make it easy for everyone. All right. Okay, so here's what I'm going to recommend that we do. This is a 2-hour class, and you have to provide 2 hours. So I'm going to open it up to Q&A. And at the end of Q&A, I'm going to just turn the remaining time over to you to take the time to take your notes, start putting and compiling how you're going to go about in your study habits in these 10 hours per week schedule, and start your study immediately. But let's open this up right now to Q&A. We'll skip the 10-minute break if that's okay, and we'll just go into this, and then you can relax and start preparing your studying. So with that being said, let's open it up to Q&A. Someone have a question? Again, just identify yourself by your first name, and let's ask that question so that we can help others out. Anyone?
Hey, Philip. This is, oh.
Go ahead, someone.
Hey, this is Victoria Omer. I
Yes.
just have a quick question. So I was looking through all the materials, and there's a lot of, test quizzes and worksheets, et cetera. So I just want to make sure I have an understanding of where each of those, I guess, is gathered. It sounds like the quizzes, I've been taking them off the Wizard website. And then the tests, though, am I missing them on the Wizard? Are they in that same Wizard website, or is it a separate, are those in a separate place? It looks like there's like a practice exam with the 200 questions. I haven't seen that yet. Am I just looking in the wrong section?
No, actually, no, because when you go into Wizard, you'll have to pay, I don't remember how much.
It was $95, I think. I did pay for it.
Oh, and how much did it cost?
I think it was $95.
Okay, that was the best, that along with the Andy Crow or the Mulcahy book is your best investment. And let me state this to the class. Every time I do an exit interview, the term Wizard, that tool comes out as part of the success to them passing the exam. So once you go into Wizard, I've never used it, but many of the students were able to create exams for themselves as well. They've been able to create all kind of examples as well, and they just can't say enough about this tool. So if you have the opportunity, go try to get the Wizard. But as far as where that material in Wizard is, I think you create that on your own.
Okay. I didn't know, so the bundle, does the bundle have tests? Is that?
No,
Okay.
It would be such a good idea if PMI actually, well, PMI has come a long way, but there are some practice exams that you will be getting. Not only, we have exams for you as well. We will be going over those exams in detail with you and discussing them. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to create your own exams, your own focus, and all that with the Wizard tool.
Okay, and then my last question is, it says post-class attempt to do your worksheets at the end of each section in the student manual. Is the student manual the student bundle?
You know, that's a good question because
It's okay to redo homework and exam multiple times, so I'm just not sure where that is.
The homework, I think, or the handouts or the activities at the end of the chapters in the guide. You can do like the online reader or the PDF that has the it has like activity 1-1 of building a team, things like that.
When you say guide, are you talking about the bundle or like the Andy Crow?
The bundle guide.
the bundle.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, and that will help. So you have, you can start recording performance-wise, not only from the bundle, but you could also do the same with the Crow or the Mulcahy book as well. Just record everything, every last, as far as performance, and that will definitely be a great help. There's a lot of simple things that folks do that have really helped them in the exam. We're not going to recommend extra or frivolous stuff unless we've heard through the years students say, yep, that added an enormous amount of value, and also the fact that they passed the exam helps. Anyone else? Okay, so let me summarize real quick, and then I will. Oh, yes, go ahead.
One quick question. Sorry,
Yes.
one quick question.
Sure.
I've only gone through like 5 chapters, and I haven't looked through the bundle yet, but I definitely will. But do we honestly, real life, do we really have to memorize all of the formulas? Or
Every last one of them.
Okay.
Every last
I
one
hate
of
math.
them.
I hate
I
math,
know.
but okay.
Oh, you do not hate math as much as I do, I'm telling you. But here's the interesting thing. The way Bob taught me, what he had me first do is just memorize the formulas. No work to it, just slowly work, on my cue cards. He would have me go up to the whiteboard, and he would ask me, let's talk about net present, or not talk about it, but he says, what's the formula for net present value? And so I would go up to the board and I would write it and stuff, and he would throw stuff at me. Nobody's throwing stuff at you. That's just the way we were in the team that I was with. And once I learned the formulas, here's the most valuable part today that I didn't have then. You can choose 2 YouTube examples. They're usually 11, no more than 15 minutes, of either college students or college professors that are focused only on net present value. Some of these classes that I've seen in my research, they're just excellent. They explain all the formulas separately, right? But they explain all the formulas simplistically. That's all you need for the exam. We don't need to get into the sophistication of the formulas. Just keep it simple, right? And I'll leave it at those 3 letters. And I've heard students through the years always telling me, you know, that was great advice. I had 2 YouTube videos that I would constantly watch, keep on top of, and they would keep my mind refreshed, and never had any problem during the exam. Not one. Every student that's passed the exam, I asked them that question. I just stopped asking because, well, if it works, let's not fix it, right? But students will tell you that are now PMPs that all you need is at least 2 of those YouTube videos. Make sure they're not more than 14, 15 minutes, and just review them occasionally, and you will do excellently. But yes, you have to memorize every formula. Why? Which is a good question. Why? Well, in the old versions of PMBOK, pre-PMBOK 6, there were thousands of tests that were made up for the exam. Thousands ensured that those across the country would not run into the same exam that others ran into. Well, the same formula works with PMBOK version 6. PMI has been highly focused on compiling hundreds, and they may already surpass 1,000 by now. I'm going to guess they have, and of exams, right? To ensure, again, that nobody has that same exam. So which formula questions are you going to get? Well, nobody knows. So this is why there's, when we tell you about the formulas, yep, you have to memorize every last one of them. Not that many to memorize. And I guarantee you, after a while, once you become more familiar with them, or I will guarantee you this, normally into your last 2 weeks, you're going to be laughing at the formulas because they're going to be so engraved in your brain, and you're going to so remember those videos, you're not going to have the slightest problem during the exam. You will, and I've had many students that laughed at themselves because they were so, let me use the term, freaked out about the formulas, that after they passed the exam, they were wondering, well, what the heck were they freaking out about anyway? This is why we say memorize the formulas and have at least 2 YouTube videos per formula. Keep it simple. You will never have a problem with the formulas or the definitions. Yeah, I'm not a math person by far. I cringe at that. Yep. All right. Anyone else have a question?
Hi, this is Mona.
Yes.
Okay, so I had a similar question to, we were required to read the first 3 chapters for the PMBOK Guide 6, create the flashcards, doing the daily workout of the 20 questions. One thing I noticed is I went straight to the exam wizard to take those courses or the questions, and I noticed that some of the like when I was doing the quiz for chapter 1, there were a lot of questions coming from like chapter 2 or chapter 3, which I later on caught on to when I did the review this weekend. What will be the correct course of action, like for my studying timeline in a way? Like, should I focus on the PMBOK guide chapters first, then go to the PMI bundle, then take the quiz? Like, what will be the best route?
That's a great question to ask. My recommendation is the bundle is going to be your key, and the Crow or the Rita book will be your key.
Okay.
Because, yeah, every, and I've asked many of our PMP instructors as well, and yeah, everyone, by a vast majority, had most difficult time reading that material out of the PMBOK. Now, if you're asked when you fill out your application, what's your primary book of knowledge for studying for the exam, please, 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 it's the PMBOK. The PMBOK is everything. That's our foundation that we're building everything on. And the reason I emphasize that is because one student, a couple years ago, said, oh, it was the Rita Mulcahy book. Needless to say, his application was rejected, and I had to get on a call with him and their director and correctly explain and negotiate the fact that what he really meant was the PMBOK. Oh my Lord, that was like, that was hard. So our foundational book is the PMBOK. I recommend reading it, but I strongly recommend the bundle and the addendums, which would be the Crow or the Mulcahy book. You use those as very valuable tools. Hopefully I said that with correctness, so I don't get a call from, well, I wouldn't get a call from PMI. That would be Brian now, because I've moved on to another director job in PMN. So, but yeah, don't put Brian through that. so yes, your primary book, the PMBOK. If you're tired,
and then
the PMBOK.
I'm sorry, I just want to recap. So on our the SharePoint site that you showed us earlier, and then it had all of the topics listed. So for example, next class is building teams or something with teams, and that seems to be correlated with the PMI bundle. I wish I looked at it first as a timeline, so I'm like looking at backwards to get myself aligned. So if I follow
No, go ahead.
So if I follow what the roster or the syllabus is listed with each of the classes, their dates and their topics, and I follow that with the bundle, reinforce it with Rita's book, PMBOK as my foundational, and then taking those quizzes, my 20 questions per day or more, I should be a good student, right?
You will pass the exam. You will simply pass the exam. I say that because I've been doing this, wow, for more than a decade. I am old and over the hill, according to my wife, but that's how students have been doing it and successfully doing it. And again, if it works, and it works for our students, I mean, I could see if this was an advanced class. This is not an advanced class. This is a university level at the way we approach this, but it's all strictly about fundamentals. Fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. One of the things that you will notice, just to emphasize one thing, in keeping your performance records, I just use a simple Excel spreadsheet, the date I took, the way I did it, the date that I took the exam, 50 questions, how did I do? Sometimes I would focus on just those particular domains, those topic areas, and see how I did per topic. And then sometimes I would take a practice exam that covered all the different topics, you know, just to see how I was doing. Once I got past 80%, where I can, on my practice exams, across all the different topics and domains, you take that exam and you're going to do fine. And I say that because, again, that's how we as PMP instructors, that's really been our guide through the years, and it works very well that way. So if you're not at a minimum of 80% per topic, per that domain, you want to wait a little bit, but we have resolved that for you as well. Why? The 10 weeks after we do complete this, you have 45 days that we recommend for you to take the exam. And usually in those 45 days, most students will hone in on a particular topic in which they were a little weak on. And that gives them time and preparation for that ultimate test. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And folks, look, we really want you to pass this exam. send me a cue once in a while if you have a question. I answer cues before I answer anything else, unless there's an executive escalation. That's totally different. But I will get to your cue, but cue is the only way really to get a hold of me. But I'll answer your cues if you do have questions. You're at the end of every class, you will have the instructors open up for Q&A. You will have the key. Your success is going to be really helped by your mentor. Because your mentors, like I said, I can't say enough about them because of some of the ideas that they've implemented that has just raised the level of the PMN organization and how many students are now PMPs because of it. So I could never say enough about them. They will guide you. They will keep you on, like I said, the straight and narrow. Any other questions?
This is Tamika.
Sure.
I was just wondering if you had any instruction on how we actually use this bundle. Like, I can see the bundle here on my screen, but it doesn't really give me a guide as to what I actually need to be looking for in this bundle, but I've heard you say bundle a lot. So what portions of this are important?
Okay, so starting Wednesday, the instructor is going to start emphasizing that material. So at least my old way of doing things is you don't need to do this, but I'm just talking about my ways. I like writing. I record everything. You should see my notes in my shed. I record everything. So one method is to print out some of this material, and as the instructor emphasizes this particular information on this topic in the bundle, you may want to highlight that and add notes to it. But he or she will be covering multiple topics that come from that bundle.
Okay. And in which section are the topics located?
I'm sorry, one at a time. Could you repeat that question?
In which section of the bundle are the topics located?
Hold on a second. Where am I at? La-di-da.
If you're on the home page, I think it's the student manual.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But
I think that's part of the confusion. I'm in the same boat. When you say bundle, I just don't know what are you talking about as far as the bundle. It's a bunch of different ones.
All right. Yep, I apologize for the confusion. So when we talk about the bundle, this is what I'm referring to. Right? But if you look at the schedule, for example, can I move that? Okay. So Matt, he's going to be going over creating high performance teams, part 1 on this date and so forth. So what we're wanting you to do is when you look at all the materials that you uploaded, we want you to stay within these areas. Don't go too far ahead of us, because Matt will come and he will emphasize certain parts here that, again, emphasizing the exam, and he'll do the same as he goes to each of these topics. So what I meant by bundle is all this entire, all the material that we're providing you, or PMI is providing you.
Okay, my apologies. I was looking at the PMI website bundle, not the PMN website. So I think that's where my confusion.
I'm sorry.
Lies.
Yeah,
I didn't see
I should have clarified that.
You.
And here are your instructors. Oh, we still need instructors, don't we? I guess I'll be teaching again. All right, so.
Yep. That kind of confuses me then, Philip, because I asked earlier about the worksheets at the end of the bundle, and I don't see them on that training, I guess, what you're referring to as the bundle. I guess I was referring to the student manual.
Right. So any additional material that we have for you, we will be getting that to you as well. So I'm sure Matt is going to be able to point you toward that additional information.
Hey, Phil?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Phil, this is Larry Vasquez. I was wondering, would it help if, like, I think I know what they're referring to as the bundle, it's online. And the thing is, I have it up. Should I just put it on the screen so everybody can?
Oh, please
say,
do. Yes.
That's what. Okay, hold on a second.
That would be great.
Yep, that'll be very helpful.
Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yeah.
There it is. Yep.
It's student manual on that one. Yes.
Yeah, this is where it goes through, and I guess that's what they're gonna have to go through in class, because here's the notes they're talking about, handouts. But I think that I opened this up here and I got an ebook.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
That has the project or the activities assignments or the at the
Well,
end
here's
of each kind.
Yeah, here's the topics that he was talking about.
Yep.
That, you know, in the PMI website, our website, PMN website, these were the topics that were listed there.
Yeah. This is a better copy of the PMBOK.
So it's an electronic format, that's all.
Yeah.
And
this,
just a quick question. This is the $175 bundle that, like, because I just sold the money a couple days ago, so I think that's what this is. I haven't received it yet.
Okay, yep. Touch base with Brian immediately. I'll send him an email for tomorrow so you can get that resolved.
Yeah, and he sends you a 2021 PMP ATP codes. That's what he calls it. And in that, you'll have the code that you have to actually put in to enroll, because you have to. If you're not a member already, this walks you through the process of enrolling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can everybody see this email?
Yes.
Okay, this is the email. This is what you'll get.
I have a problem though with this. Well, I went, and maybe because I went through it through the VPN, but it just went to a static page. And when I went to it through like an iPad, I was able to get to it.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, so it's browser sensitive.
Yeah.
And what browser were you using?
I was doing Chrome over my VPN when I got the code, and then I was like, okay, well, this obviously doesn't work. So I went through it through my iPad, and in my iPad, I was able to get to it. But with Chrome, I was able to look at the source code, and there was nothing in there that would have let me in. So I don't know if it was
on your pad. Right. So what do you have on your pad as your browser?
I want to say it was Safari.
This is Shelley. I actually contacted PMI themselves. They told me that maybe I had a pop-up blocker that wasn't doing properly, but I found that no matter what side of the PMI website, other than the login page, I couldn't get Chrome to function with any of their add-ons. I have to use Firefox or the Internet Explorer to get it to functionally work. They were alerted this morning of this problem, so I hope that they'll fix it soon.
Right.
It
when
does
I
work
spoke
in
to
Edge.
PMI, I'm sorry, say that again? Someone mentioned Edge?
Yes, it works with Edge.
Okay. When I spoke with PMI and I spoke to Brian, we were told to use Firefox because PMI is now going through that conversion and Firefox is become their tool of preference. Now, I do know that I've heard from others that they've used other, and maybe Edge was one of them, but the conversion is largely going to Firefox, so you may want to consider that. But thank you for that, because I was told by many of our folks to stay away from Chrome, period, personally and professionally, and I always have. So that's something that everyone could remember that may be will be beneficial. Absolutely.
That's funny. Some of the stuff in my organization doesn't work unless it's on Chrome. But hey,
well, hey, I'll give you
time
my
off.
HVD laptop, and then I'll show you real chaos.
No,
So-
you know what? I've heard so much about your HVD laptop that it's like next time they ask me, I'm like, no, never, not ever.
Yeah, my boss will not allow me to drop it repeatedly, and get a replacement. So, rats. Anyone else? Folks, you're going to have a lot of questions that are going to come. That's okay. Just record your questions, and we'll do Q&A after all our classes, and make sure that you have your mentors. If they're not assigned to you, make sure you send an email so we can get those mentors assigned to you. And I cannot emphasize the commitment that you made. It is most important that you stick to that commitment, because you will never, ever regret one of the most important certifications on the planet, which is PMP. For the obvious reasons, once you go through this course, and now that you hopefully got a greater understanding of what an actual true project manager is. And this is how project manage, the definition, that's how it started in the beginning. But through the decades, people have watered it down. There's no such thing as an assembly project manager. That's just wrong, period. Right? Project managers, if you use them correctly, and many companies and corporations do, they add extreme value. And you know, from the executive level, they always like to know that they've saved 25% overhead on every project. And when you start talking about millions, yeah, that kind of adds up a little bit, doesn't it? So thank you for the time. And I look forward to talking with you folks again, most of all by following our commitments or following the commitment that you gave and our recommendations. You're going to do fine. Just remember to separate, you're learning a new language. That's probably the best way I could put it. Separate those two languages, and you will do fine for the exam. With that being said, the class is not over. I will let you, in the last 25 minutes, to gather your own notes from our discussion today. Prepare yourself, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again on Wednesday. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.
Okay. I'm
Philip,
trying to
your
turn
slides
this
on
off.
the website?
I'm sorry, say again?
Are your slides on the website?
No.
Okay. That's what I was thought I had something wrong.
Philip, I just had a quick question about the mentor real quick. How are we supposed to figure out who our mentor is?
I think he hung up. I don't see him anymore.
Well,
but just to answer that, what I was told is that you need to get into the PMN website, and in there you can like sign for a mentor. So maybe you can do that. I haven't done it.
Request for one?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I haven't done it, but I know you can do it in there.
Well, it says in our stuff that they'll do it 2 weeks prior to the start of our session. So I've been waiting for something to come to me, but okay, I can go request one, no problem.
All right.
Same here. I was looking for that same question, and he told me to reach out to Brian Berry concerning the mentor.
Well, I'm here. Let me just show you what I'm doing. I went to the PMI website, and on the right-hand side, like you go into the frequently asked questions, and it's when you click on the link, it doesn't take you here. So yeah. I had to go to the main website, and then on the left-hand side, there's request a mentor. So I'm just going to follow these directions, and hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. That's the place where you need to go.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Hopefully we'll get assigned, and I look forward to, going crazy with everybody.
Yes.
I think we're all
Alrighty.
on the crazy train. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.